Hello, this is Stephanie, and we are going to switch topics a little bit this week, and we're going to talk about financial and legal planning. So today I just wanted to talk about how to start the conversation, because step one is really just kind of finding out what our loved ones' wishes are. So this is a really sensitive topic and a sensitive conversation, and so we want to kind of tread lightly, but at the same time realize how important and beneficial it is to have this conversation as early as possible after a diagnosis, so that we really can include them in the decision-making process and really hear what their wishes are. So one thing that you kind of want to do is determine, do we want this to be a family meeting, or do we just want to have a one-on-one conversation with our loved one? If there's a lot of disagreements in the family or people have opposing opinions, it might be easier just for the first conversation to just have it be one-on-one. And the goal is for the kind of tone to be really calm and non-confrontational. This is really just the initial conversation. And even if it doesn't end that well, if it upsets our loved one to talk about, we've at least planted a seed. So this is can just be a stepping stone as well. So you want to talk about what their wishes would be, and you can also talk about it in specific scenarios. So this is the time to ask all those questions. In blank scenario or scenario A, what are your wishes? In scenario B, what are your wishes? So you can really kind of get those specifics and really know what your loved one would want. We also want to be really sensitive and reassure our loved ones that we're not trying to take over these decisions. That's why we want to have this conversation. Sometimes no matter what we do, however we phrase it, our loved one might be upset about this conversation, and that's okay. All we can do is try, and we can try and include them as much as we can. We want to assure them that they really do have the right to make these decisions, and to choose who's going to take care of them and make these decisions if the event arises. And we can also assure them or inform them that it doesn't just have to be one specific person. So you could have someone who's responsible for healthcare decisions and someone who's responsible for financial decisions. So let's say maybe one sibling has a lot of expertise in one of those categories. That can be something that can come into play, and again, have our loved one make those decisions when possible. So it's never too early to have these conversations. Sometimes when someone in our family gets a diagnosis, it sparks that, but in reality, anyone can make these decisions, and it could be a good time in anyone's life to really start thinking about this, because an accident can happen to anyone, unforeseen circumstances. And so one way to have this conversation is to not just make it about them, and to say, you know what, I've been thinking about this a lot for myself, let's do it together. So there are a few ways to kind of open the conversation. As I said, maybe it'll go smoothly. Maybe, they're realizing that it's important and that they want their decisions heard in all of this and their wishes. And if it doesn't go well, if it really upsets our loved one, they don't want to talk about it at all, again, we're just planting a seed, and all we can do on our end is try and have the conversation. So we can only control so much, but it is important to do it as early as possible. And it just shows how much you care, that you really want to make sure that all your loved ones' wishes will be what happens in the event that these decisions have to be made. And it is a tough decision. So I hope this was helpful. We're gonna keep talking more about this in detail, but I just kind of wanted to talk about how to even start the conversation and kind of what step number one is. So we'll continue to talk about this. And if you have any questions about it or anything specific about this topic, please let me know. And we will talk again soon. Bye.